You didn't know?
Yeah. So now, what I'm doing right now is I'm just capturing the entire image. And I'm just simply going to say, okay. That's where it captured that at. I'm going to do this again here. Okay. So what we can see here, and I'm actually going to move this down here. So I have the part in the stage, okay? Now what I want to do is I want to focus it, before I hit start capture, okay? I want to basically focus it in, okay? Now when you think about this, when you think about the focus, okay? If I have a round part, okay? The edges of that part are all on the same, or all the same height. So basically that's, you think about that as a sharp corner. So in this particular type of part, we're gonna have one focus for this edge here, and then we're gonna focus it again on the front and the back, okay? So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna focus. Now, what I like to do, it doesn't matter, but I like to come in here, okay? And manually focus a little bit, okay. Get it fairly in focus, okay. And then from here, okay, I clicked on the scale here, and now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it here, and I'm going to say this is the area that I want to focus it in on. So now I'm going to do an autofocus. Okay. Now I'm going to hit capture. Okay. And I was wrong. It's a little bit longer than what I expected, but that's okay. So we're going to do it again here in a minute, but so you can see the process. Okay. So essentially, I needed to add another. Should have added another block there.
Should have made it.
Okay. But what you're going to see here is this. So now this is going to be in focus, okay? But you're going to notice that that's not in focus. Why? Because again, the field of view is so small in the high precision that I'm going down that entire wall. So I would need to refocus on this. Okay. So what we're going to do here, and actually what I really like doing on a part like this is instead of focusing here on the middle, I prefer to focus in on the edges if I can. So I'm just going to move the part here for a minute. So I'm going to go back to program, new, high precision, and then we'll add a little bit to that. Okay. I'm just going to say okay right now here. Okay. So again, thing comes up, says basically after adjusting the focus, then we're going to hit start capture. Okay. So again, I'm just going to put the part in. Actually, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you why I'm doing this in a second here.
Okay. Let's give some follow that.
Okay. So now from here, again, we're going to autofocus. Then after that's focused in, we're going to do our capture. So now that's focused, and we're going to hit capture. Hey, we got the whole part. Very good. No cap. Okay. So now we can start.
And our limit on that is 4 inches, you said?
No, so in the high precision, I believe on the 30 we can go, and I can check this, I think it's closer to 6 inches.
Okay.
Okay, we can go over that again here in a moment.
All right.
Okay. So now what we have is we have basically, you know, all this edge here, so this edge, this edge, this edge, this edge, this edge, these are all in focus because they were all basically at the same height. Okay. So what now before I start, one of the things that I like to do as well is I like to throw in a center line to begin with. I want to create a datum structure. Okay. So the best way to create a datum, on most parts, datum structure is going to be, center line, and then typically either the end of the part or the front of the part, something of that nature. Okay. Now, one thing that I'm seeing here, because again, this is,
Yeah,
I already
glare.
captured it.
It's up
But,
here.
Yeah, it's somewhere up here. You have this area here that's shining, so maybe what I would probably suggest is get some type of shroud to put onto that. Okay. Okay. Well, that's okay.
That didn't help. Oh, it's already captured.
It's already captured.
Gotcha.
It's already
Okay.
captured.
Yeah.
So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a center line. How we do that is underneath elements. Okay. Elements basically are simply elements. They're basically your lines, your points, your circles, but without capturing a measurement. So in other words, it's going to create an element.
Okay.
Okay. So under here, I'm going to first start out with center line. So what I'm going to do is I click center line. All of our operations have a tutorial. So if you don't know how to do it, you click the tutorial. It tells you to take 2 points and then spread it out. Okay. So I'm going to take a point here and a point here. Open it up. Okay. And maybe take a little, you don't have to take it to the very ends, but we're going to take a little bit farther. That's good. And now I'm going to hit apply. Okay. And now what that is actually doing, now that created my center line. Okay. Now, we got to remember when we're creating lines or points or circles or whatever we're creating, typically, let's say if I create a line, I'm taking 2 points, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not taking 2 points. I'm taking 2 points to create a search window. Within that search window, I'm actually going to collect up to 50,000 points per inch. Okay? So, I want to take a quick look at this center line to see what points we're creating, just to make sure that I'm not getting any of that information in there. Okay, makes sense?
Not reading the noise.
Not reading the noise. So if I come up here to this icon here, it says switch edge point trail. Okay. So I'm going to click that and I'm going to show the edge points. Okay. So this actually is showing me all the points that it's taking along here to create that center line. And that actually looks pretty good. I'm not seeing a lot of noise through here, so that should be good. Okay. So for instance, if I create a line, I'm going to click on line. Okay. And just take my 2 points. So again, right here, I'm taking 2 points to create the search window. Now when I hit apply, I'll say okay. So these are all the points now, okay, that we are using to create a straight line. Now you'll notice that a couple of these points here are in red, because when it creates my straight line, it's also looking at the straightness of that line. If the system itself deems that, you know what, there's a few points that are outside of a straight line calculation, we're going to exclude those. So you don't have to necessarily worry if there's a scratch on the machine or something of that nature. Mm-hmm. Okay. So in this particular case, it sees a couple of these little hiccups right there, which is fine. It took those out. So when we take that line and we basically make a line out of all those points, and again, we're going to do that up here where it's the edge, the edge trail. I'm going to show, so if I put my line, so now you can actually see it's taking that line, putting it through the center of all of those points, and that in turn is going to create my straight line. Okay? Okay. So because I know for a fact that all of these lines here, okay, are basically in the same focal point, that's where I'm going to start. Okay? So I'm going to just take my line, I'll say next, line.
Click and drag.
Next, yep, line, next, line, next. And I'm even going to do these little ones. Line, next, because I know these are all within the same focus. Next, this one's in the same focus as well. This one's in the same focus as well. Okay, let's just go down here. So you notice I'm not actually going to put one on here because see that is not in
Gotcha.
focus.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Now the thing is, we can have multiple.
No left
Okay.
to right or right to left or right.
Nope. Because when I hit measure, okay, the system's going to figure it out for itself.
Okay.
Okay. So these are all. So there's all my points right there. Okay. And actually, let me get this one up here. Let me get two more here. So I'm essentially doing as much as I can on the same focus. Okay. Okay, so there we go. Make sense so far?
Mhm.
Okay. Now, I know that back here, okay, is a different focus. But again, when we think about it, if I take a look at, do I have anything round? Okay. So when I'm looking, so right now, like I said, if I'm looking at these edges, I'm actually focusing in right here, right where that sharp corner is. When I'm looking down here, okay, I'm actually looking down through that entire area, okay? So because I have a small depth of field, I'm just going to focus it in on these edges, like this edge here and this edge down here. So just a small portion of it. So when I'm going to come here, okay, and I'm going to focus it in right in this area here. Again, I can do an autofocus, okay.
So you're trying to get as close to the apex of the other diameters that you focused on to begin with.
Correct. That is correct. So we should be, oh, we have to capture that image here. Okay.
Wireframe.
Yeah. Okay. So now you'll notice this, okay, that my 1-inch lens is up here.
Mm-hmm.
I want it back here. Okay, so I want to move the part, so I don't want to physically move the part, but I can come here for my XY control and I can actually move that over.
Until you want to stop.
Yep, until I want to stop. Move it over one more time. Okay. I'll turn that off. So now I'm up here. Like I said, what I want to do is focus in on that edge as best I can. So you'll see that's a pretty sharp edge.
Yep.
But you'll notice that they seem out of focus now, which is okay because of the fact that when you run the program, it's automatically going to change that focus for you. So I'm going to start here. I'm just going to say the capture. Okay. Now I'm going to take my line and I'm going to put a line here. I'm going to take it down to where it starts getting out of focus a bit. Okay, I'll say next.
You have to hit apply after every.
No.
No. Okay.
Nope. And then we'll say, and you know what, I put that one in, I'll say next. And actually, let's go down to this edge here. And that edge is not too bad, but again, I'm just going to focus it there. And I'm going to put one down here. I'll say apply and OK. Now I'm going to hit measure. Okay. Now, one thing that we want to do too is that I don't want to have those, I want to have a straight line between everything. So right now I've been doing everything under elements, strictly creating an element. If I want to create an element from other elements, I need to go to my virtual tools. Virtual tools are essentially those things that you can't touch. So if I want to create a line between 2 points, that's where I go to. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So underneath our virtual tools, they have a really nice one here. Okay. Basically, it says connect lines. So on a part like this, okay, how it works is you click on one, click on the other. So I'm going to click on this line here, click on this line here, and that's going to give me that line, best fit line that goes between them. Okay. Now, one of the things that I like to do too as well is we can actually change that, you know, the length of that line if we'd like to. So if I wanted to come in here and simply say I want to input a value of 0.25, let's say, okay, then we could actually just have it right in front like that. Okay. I'll say okay, and let's do the back edge here. Again, I'm going to do it the same way. I'm going to go to connect lines, connect this line to this line, and let's just input the value. Let's say 0.5 this time, and there we go. Okay. Now, before I go too far with anything, one thing that I definitely like to do is I like to save it. Okay. Just from the standpoint that if all of a sudden you get called away, you get busy, you walk away, then, you know, when somebody moves the part on you, you don't want that to happen. So we're going to save it. So I'm just going to hit save settings. Okay. Say okay. Now it says pattern is not registered. Do we want to register it? I'm going to say no for right now. Okay. So now, actually, I should say yes. So when we come here, we'll talk about registration, I guess. That was a good point to do it.
Still saving?
Yeah. It's thinking about it. Okay.
Any questions? Anyone?
Not so far.
Okay. Bounce it around quite a bit here.
Is it still paused? Is that why it's highlighted down there?
Yeah, it's
It's
Yeah.
free. It's froze.
it's a little
There it go.
yeah.
Yeah, something was going on there with that. So I'm going to call this one test here for a minute.
Okay.
Save. Okay. 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 So again, we just want to save the image at that point. Now what I'd like to do is I want to basically throw in a coordinate system. Okay. You're going to find that down here, coordinates. You're either going to basically use two lines or a line and a point. In this particular case, we're going to use two lines to create our data structure. Okay. Now you don't have to worry if the lines are not perfectly perpendicular to each other, because what it's going to do, it's going to take the first line as your X, the second line, it's going to basically create that intersection, and then it's going to draw a perpendicular off of that intersection.
Okay.
So for now, I'm going to say two lines, and I'm going to say there's my X, and there's my Y. Okay. So again, I just do that out of practice. Okay. So now we can actually start doing some of the. Now we can throw in some of the dimensions. So, what are some of? Do we have the print?
Latoya, could you
Oh, my computer.
lock that?
Yeah.
And maybe hit the PDF button, print, and we'll just print it out so we got it in front of us.
Make it really big. Now, something else you can do, so for instance, like I noticed that part there looks eerily similar to this part.
It should,
okay?
yeah.
Is that if you have parts that are like this, but you have different lengths, okay, I can show you later on where you can basically take that existing program, okay, and then we can re-register the image and just change, let's say, the lengths. Or if, you know, because that way you don't have to redo everything.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Because we get a lot of variation in lengths, especially.
Yeah, that's what it looked like, so. Okay. Okay.
So if you don't do this step, you can't program? Is that
Well,
required?
What do
Or
you mean? What step? Oh, as
like
far as
do all of this?
I usually do. Yes, I usually go through all this when I program it.
Okay.
Okay.
It's not a requirement, but it's helpful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because what were you doing before? Like highlighting the whole thing and just hitting like auto?
No, we was just programming like going to
Oh, going to.
GD.
Okay, so you were just going like the basics for
Yeah.
like. Yeah. Honestly, yes, you can easily do that.
Okay.
Okay. I'm doing it sort of like the long way, so you can. So I'm basically explaining it a little bit more as to how it's created. But yes, you're absolutely right. If you basically are measuring from a line to a line, you can actually do that line to line, that line to line, that line to line, you know, without having to create the line first.
Okay.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Okay.
I'm just sort of doing a little bit of a longer way just so that, you know, we're a little bit more, I don't know,
No.
just so it makes a little bit more sense maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, this
okay.
seems a lot more precise than how I was
Yeah.
doing it.
Okay. The, you know, so we'll show a little bit. So let's do this. Okay, so.
This, I think, is the smallest size.
Okay.
It probably is that one of them down there. I don't know exactly, but
Okay, so you know what? Here, I'll let you read it off. So let's say, what's the overall length?
Overall length?
you know, you tell us what the overall length is, and we'll tell you what size it is. I
That's
think,
probably
right?
3 and 3/4. So
I have
3.75.
overall 1.706.
For overall?
It could be a different part number.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the lowest is 3.75 on this.
But yeah, you want the wrong one. This GSP like me on A0707. So it's 1.75. 1.75 for overall length.
1.75?
Yep.
Okay. So 1.75 plus minus.
Minus
Minus 30 to minus 60.
0.03 to 0.06.
0.06. Is it 0.03 to 0.06 minus?
Okay. So,
double minus.
okay. So double minus. Okay. So negative 0.06. And the upper then would be negative 0.03. Okay. The upper always has to be higher than the lower. Okay. And the reason I put the lower limit in first was because if I put the upper limit in
It won't
first,
let you.
it wouldn't let me.
Yeah, we know we
As you
discovered
know- as
that
you
the
noticed
other day.
that, yeah, so, okay. So hit apply, okay, and there we go. Now something else you could do is you could put a lot of the values in and then go to list edit, and list edit you can actually like copy and paste a lot of things.
Okay.
Okay. So so there's that. Let's go with the diameter. What do we have for the diameter?
Point diameter, John? Looks like it's
Diameter where at? Right there?
Yeah.
499 or
0.499.
0.4990 plus 0 minus 0.0005.
Minus 0.0005.
05.
5 tenths.
Oh, that's a tight one. Okay, that's okay. Let's do this one. There to there.
It's probably 750, 751.
0.749
0.749
plus 0 minus 0.001
plus 0
plus 0
minus
0.001.
1,000.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, because that's the wrong. It's
Yeah, so we gotta be careful.
0.7510.
Yeah, okay.
Because
I
what
read
we
it
should
wrong.
have explained to you, Ron, is there's a lead-in on that diameter.
Yeah, but
Small lead-in that you might not be able to see.
Yeah, it's
No.
very
So
small.
if you look
It
at the
was-
print, you'll see it.
Yeah, it's like right here. It's like
That smaller
just
diameter.
Oh, okay. So what we may want to do then is basically take
That's right for that dimension.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can
Two
actually
different
take that, and we
ones.
can actually move that down a little bit if we feel that.
Yeah.
You know. So same way we can take this.
We can drag it.
You
You
can
can kind of
just-
see it. in
Kinda,
the
yeah.
image.
Yeah.
So like you
Measure.
can see the edge right there.
Yeah, okay. The other thing you can do too is, for instance, if you know where that's at, we can actually put like a parallel line in there showing that, so we don't go past it as well.
Right, right.
Good.
Okay. How about this diameter here?
The head diameter.
The head.
0.853 plus 0 minus
853. Was it plus 0?
plus 0 minus 0.010.
10,000.
Okay. Okay. So this is how I would start, and again, at this point, we're going to hit save. Okay. What are some of the other criticals that we're looking at?
Well, let's get the
radius.
The radius on
Okay.
inside the head
Okay.
and on the shoulder and on the point.
Okay. So we're going to do the point first.
And if you're still on flats, we might do the chamfers that are at the 45-degree angles that you put in.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do perpendicularity on there too?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, so what we want to do here is let's create a line here. Say next, and a line down here. Okay. So one thing I want to do here, I'll measure. Okay. When I'm actually looking at a turned part, instead of measuring, let's say, from the end of the part just to here, again, I want to connect these lines together. So I'm going to connect these lines together like I connected those, like I'm going to connect those. So underneath my virtual,
Connect line.
I'm going to connect line and connect that one to that one. Okay. I'll say okay. And now I'm going to come here. And again, because again, the reason why this little area is in focus is because we focused it on that area before. Okay. So right now, I'll say next. What you're going to see in a moment is that we only have 2 areas of focus. Okay. There we go. So again, I'm just going to hit save. So, if I actually go down here, this is where my layers are. Okay, that little, where it's showing different layers. So if I click on that, okay, it's actually showing me how many layers that I have. Okay, so this is everything. That's all my layers. So you notice we only have the 2 layers. And while you can have a good number of layers on there, the more layers you have, the more time it's going to take to focus up, focus down for all those. So, I like to try to look at the part and say, okay, this is one focus, this is another focus, this is one lighting, this is another lighting, and try to put it all together. Okay. And again, I'm going about this in a little bit longer way than usual, but I think this is a good example. So, what dimensions do we have from this to the front or the back?
To the back, which is left,
Back.
far left side.
So here to here.
Right.
Okay. And what do we have for that one?
Do you have a dimension to that?
0.875.
No, that'd be way off then.
No, you're close.
846.
Yeah, but what's the tolerance?
Minus 0.01, minus 0.04.
So you're within minus 0.04, right?
Yeah. Okay, so basically, what is it again?
875.
875. And the upper, what's the upper limit?
Minus 0.01,
Still a minus.
And to minus what?
0.04,
And again, the other one was minus
0.01.
Okay. I was looking at the other tolerances, which were so tight, then that threw me off a
Yeah,
little
and so
bit.
that happens a lot where different tolerances.
It's like,
on the
really?
part.
Okay.
This is the part that gets pressed into a plate,
Okay.
and this is the part that penetrates into the next bushing in the next plate.
Gotcha.
So we don't want that part, that 875, to be exposed or proud.
Okay, so what's the other one? I have
187.
8.187 plus upper.
Nothing.
0.
Okay, minus.
0.01.
10,000. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's what it says.
All right. What's this thing?
Head diameter?
0.005.
0.005.
The head thickness. What's the head
Okay.
thickness?
Oh, head thickness?
Minus 0.
Minus 0.005. Sorry, I looked at the wrong thing.
Minus 0.0.
5.
Yep.
0.005.
Minus 0.005. Okay. Again, I'm just going to hit save. Okay.
We're doing
So we have most of all the
Right.
we have most of all the linears in. Okay. Now, let's talk about some of the radius. Actually, do you have a dimension on this, where basically that area there, it'd probably be about like 8.5 or something.
No, it's
Not
yes.
really.
We have.
16.
Let me see what you're looking at, though. Just,
Also, I'm just going to play with these.
Yeah, that's where the radius.
The details.
So I was looking like right where that intersection is.
so that
A.
Yeah.
diagonal.
Yeah. So
Okay.
where that diagonal comes in at?
B.
The diagonal is 45 degrees plus or minus 15 degrees. And that dimension is 80 thousandths from the flat
Okay.
parallel to it. So
Okay.
this yellow line and then this over
Okay.
here.
Should be 80 thou. Okay.
Yeah.
So in order to get that, we have to basically grab that intersection.
That's to the far section.
Yeah, you're looking at detail.
Why don't you
A
step
above.
over here real quick, Ron, so you can
Yeah.
see it.
Let me just do
No.
one thing here.
So it starts here.
Flat, yes.
Let's just give it
You wearing your jacket?
Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing. So what I did here, does that make sense? I grabbed that intersection?
a Yep.
Okay. So what do you think the next move is? Okay, so I want to measure from there to there.
Get the line?
Yep, create a line.
Yeah.
Because again, I don't want to measure just to that line or to that one. I want to get that average in there. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go back to virtual. And then what virtual tool do you think I would use to grab that, to create a line?
Point to point. You have a point.
Point to point would be a measurement underneath basics. So,
Line.
Could.
yep, OLS line.
Okay.
Connect line would be connecting the two lines.
Okay.
OLS line basically is connecting my points.
Okay.
Okay. And again, I'm going to input. Okay, we'll say okay. And now from here, we're going to measure from here to here. And that's going to be
.08
8.08 plus
plus .02.
0.02 minus nothing, right?
That's nothing.
Okay. So there we go. Okay.
Okay, you talk. Well, let's continue it.
Okay.
Eventually, I want to know if that's 45 degrees.
Oh, so you want to do the angles too?
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Now that's obviously really tough because you have such a small angle.
Yeah.
Okay. The smaller the line that you have, okay, the tougher it's going to be.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
only 20 thousandths plus 5 minus nothing on the length
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah. If I look at that angle, so basically I need basics. I can go to angle. Okay. And so I got I got off of there at basically 30-degree angle.
Okay, and you're allowed plus or minus 15 degrees.
Okay.
That's a heck of a tolerance.
Yep. Okay, I'm gonna leave that. And actually, let's do this one down here as well. And again, from here.
If you don't
Here.
do it to that one and you did it to this one, because this is what it's calling from.
Oh, that's what it's called from? Okay,
Yeah.
let's cancel that out. Let's just, because again, that might be a better way of doing it. Okay.
So the lines kind of make it easier to grab. Like
Yeah.
when you do the
Yeah.
line.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're at 62,
Yeah. What's
Okay, well, that's-
what's the call out?
45 plus or minus 15, so you could get up to 60.
Yeah. Let's try it.
You know, basically it's right to the corner so you don't cut your finger on it.
Yeah.
And even for a PPAP, we're going to look at a comparator and we're going to say, yeah, it's close enough.
Yeah. So I'm basically getting 27.
But
So.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. When you have those small little surfaces like that, it's really rough.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because you don't have you don't really have a tremendous amount to work with.
Okay.
Right.
So we're gonna leave it there for right this
Yeah.
minute. I do want to let's talk about like this radius here now.
Yeah.
Okay.
0.09,
Okay.
so 90,000.
So again, when we think about the focus, okay, we focused in on the ends, then basically here. So this will actually be enough. We're gonna refocus it right here as well. Okay. So again.
Would that be the same focus as the first?
As the first
When
one?
you pulled up those two?
Right. So if you want to do it, if you're not sure, what you could actually do here, okay? Get that off of there.
Why are you always clicking that? Oh.
If I want to change, if I want to basically see what the focus is on these different levels,
Mhm.
I could go to the level,
Yeah.
I could go to layer,
Yep.
but I could also just double click here. So if I double click
okay.
on this line,
It brings you to that focus.
it's going to bring me to that focus.
Good.
And it's focused.
Okay, and that looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay,
That was nice and easy.
so again, we only have the 2 layers right now, and we're going to stick with that. Okay, so now
The
this
fewer the layers, the better. Is that not necessarily?
not necessarily, but basically it's going to make it so that it runs smoother, so you're not doing a tremendous
Gotcha.
amount of focus.
Okay.
So we're going to do is underneath basics. We're going to take our 3 points here. And now the trickiest thing is, where do you stop? Okay, so I'm going to stop it right there. So what do you have for the
0.09.
0.09? 0.09 plus?
And there's a plus or minus 1,000, 001,
Wow.
which is kind of silly. They would not have that tolerance like they do everything else. And they're
Yeah.
defaulting 3 places to plus or minus 1,000.
Right.
So yeah.
So
Basically, all that is don't cut yourself and don't let it shear the bushing it's going into. So let's put a radius there so nothing gets affected.
Yep. So what you're noticing is every time I basically change that up, it's changing the number a little bit because it depends where you're putting that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just, so what I'm doing is just
Stretching it out? Or
I'm
reducing it?
actually shrinking it up a little bit
Okay.
just to see what we got.
Yeah, because I wouldn't have went that far if I was picking that radius.
Yeah. So I think that looks pretty good.
Okay.
And I'm going to say it's good because why? Because it's in. Okay.
Mhm.
But that is the toughest part about that. Now the other things that you can do too is you could if it's on the print, you could actually, if you knew where the center of that was, you could actually align that up to the center.
Okay.
And there's other things that you could do to help it, but that's probably the best way.
Okay.
Now, do you want to do both sides?
It's round, right? So it should be the same.
Yeah. So again, here, and I'm going to say, because I can almost see where that's
Kind
coming from.
Yeah, like right
So I'm gonna
there.
say maybe right there. Okay. Now that one's, so now I'm at 086. I think if I would actually take it
of, like
farther,
you could have grabbed like more down here.
possibly, yeah. So basically, where to grab it on a radius like this is always going to be a little bit tricky. Okay. So, probably coming back with this a little bit more. Okay. Now, there is one other way we can do it, although this is not. This is underneath our application tools. We do have one that's called the corner arc.
Okay.
And how the corner arc tool is going to work, okay, it's actually going to take these two lines and then fill in between them as best as possible.
Yeah.
Okay, but it doesn't look like that's like a solid radius. That's a little bit of a blend.
It is. It's probably done by hand, for God's sakes, the way they're doing it.
Yeah,
It's
so
shaped.
I'm just going to go back here, and I think I'm just going to do the same thing. I think here looks like here, and honestly,
We're at
maybe here.
155.
Yeah.
you know, and for such a small radius, so 0.09 was it?
Yeah.
And plus or minus 0.01. That's a pretty tight rate. That's a pretty tight radius for that. Okay. Now, let's say that, did you follow along with everything so far?
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Mhm.
Okay. So now at this point, what I want to do is I want to basically register the image. Registering the image basically is this is what I'm going to look for when I measure the part. So we'll go to register image.
Because if you don't, you can't
You
save
can't
it.
move it around.
Yep.
That's correct. I'm going to say no here for a reason. So right now,
No to what?
Registering.
when I
Registering.
Okay.
right, well, basically what happened was this. I'm going to cancel. When I go to register the image, if the system says, you know what, I think this is good registration, which it does, says properly detected. Do you want to register this? I'm going to say no right now, and I'm going to show you why. I still have to register the image, but I'm basically putting this on that magnetic block, okay? And you can see that that's part of that magnetic block. So if the next person put it on and they put it up here a little bit more or down a little bit more, it's going to be a little bit different, okay? Now, probably not enough difference to make any difference at all, but what I want to do is I want to simply come in here and say, you know what, I want to register, let's say, this image here, okay? And we'll take the fixturing out of it. Okay.
It's
Now-
still going to keep your length the same, all that.
Correct.
Okay.
Now,
It's important to,
Yep.
to recognize.
so you have search range. It says 360 degrees, meaning I could actually spin that 360 degrees. Okay, but since we have such a small, you know, I'm only looking at that area there.
Mhm.
Okay, I probably wouldn't, you know, spin it at that point, but it'll fit there. Okay, and so now at this point we're going to hit register. Yes, that's what we want. And again, we'll save it. So now when we put the part in there and I go to run,
Yeah, you hit save, it's going to take a minute.
yep, okay. It's going to show me what we want to look for. It shows me the area, measure.
So it'll change this view
Mm-hmm.
several
Yeah.
times through the measurement. It doesn't measure all of one depth and then all of the other.
Now it's going to go to a certain area,
Mhm.
measure the depth, refocus,
Mhm.
move over, do that, move
Okay.
over. Now, what you're going to see is it says you have this connected to your network, and I think that's part of the problem right now. Well, something's happening where it's trying to save the results someplace else.
Oh, maybe because it's not connected. That's why it's doing it. It's trying to find somewhere to save
It's
it
finding
to.
somewhere to save
Yeah,
it.
I'm going to resave it just to this here in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's why it
Yeah,
took
because
me
it don't have
longer.
nowhere to go.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
measurement
yeah,
result
it's
could not
told
be
us.
saved because it's trying to go to the quality, the quality department.
Yeah, we don't have nowhere. It don't have nowhere to
Yeah.
go, so it's trying
So
to
right,
find
so
it.
which is fine.
I thought Alex
Okay.
told us that they had plenty of memory in it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah, it's a good amount. Now,
Okay, so you
This-
saved it local.
yep.
Okay.
So now this can have several results. It says NG now because that is out of spec.
Yeah.
Okay, that one arc. Okay. Now these are two, but I didn't throw tolerances in there. Okay, as of yet. Okay.
Okay.
Now, for it to say okay, everything has to be green. Okay. If there's one NG, it's going to say NG. Now, let's say there was no NG there. Okay, but I had all these green and I have these two white ones because there was no tolerances. It's going to say paused. Okay, so you have 4 results that happen. Okay, everything's green. NG means there's at least one no good tolerance in there. Paused means that everything is either green or white. So in other words, if I didn't put any tolerances on, everything would be in white and it would say it's paused. Reason being, it doesn't know whether it's good or bad because it doesn't have tolerance. Okay? Or the other thing it'd say is fail. Okay? What fail means is that it could not find maybe the part or it could not find the feature and it'll say fail. Okay? So they're the 4 results that you have. So for right now, what I want to do here is this. Go back to program. I'm going to say edit. Oh, you know why? It may not have been able to.
Yeah, it take a little minute when you open it from edit.
Yeah, because it's going back to trying to find that network. That's why.
Oh, okay.
What we need to do, it couldn't find, could not be found, or could not be accessed. I'm going to say okay here for a minute.
So it must
Okay.
be set as a
Yeah.
default.
So what I want to do is, this is the one we just had. Okay. So I do have that one saved underneath test, which is good. We'll say open that up. Yeah, I think because the folder path that's looking for the default folder is the network,
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons. Okay.
So we can change that.
The default, yeah, I'll show you.
We could change that to default to the local.
To the local, yeah. Okay. What else do we want to look at?
So, well, you talked about that one not having tolerances on it. So, if we put tolerances on there, great enough to make it okay, then we would just have the one that showed NG.
Right. So if I come in here now to change, so basically the tolerances we can do one of 2 ways. Okay. I can go to list edit here, and then I could add it in here.
Okay.
Okay. So for instance, design value is supposed to be 45.
Right.
Okay. Upper 15.
Yeah, you call it 20 just to make it green. if
Okay.
you want.
I'll say 20. And then minus 20.
Right.
Okay. And same thing here, 45, 20, minus 20. Okay. Okay. The other thing you could do here too is you can also change the names of the elements. So right now it says line to line, line to line, line to line. So if you actually have it as bullet point 1,
OD.
oh, you can say OD, length, however you want to name it. So you could name those as well.
Okay, so that makes me question.
Mm-hmm.
You said it'd be easy to change the lengths.
Yeah.
What about diameters? What if we had the big sister to this one
Mhm.
We put on there, and everything's just grown a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Can we use the same program for that?
Part of it, yes.
Can we
Part.
go
It's a
in
little.
this,
It's a little bit.
add
It's
it,
a little. It's a
and
little bit tougher.
modify
Yeah.
the nominals.
So
Change it.
right. So what I
File
would
there.
actually do is, let's say it was just the length. Okay. If it was just the length, what I would do is when I would register the image, okay, I would just register like this. Okay. I would just register that portion of it. Then I could put the new part in, and it's going to be longer. And then I would just have to move just those features to where I wanted to. But when it's the diameter is larger, then there's more things you're going to have to spread. Then you're going to have to spread out. Now, okay, I'm going to hit cancel. Now, I mean that could be very possible because what I could do is I'm going to hit save here for a second. Okay, I mean I could take that and highlight some of these areas and then just move everything.
Yeah, because
Sure.
this is common. This is common.
Yeah.
The head thickness is common.
Mhm.
The shoulder length is common. The
Yeah.
lead-in is common. The length is, all these
So
things.
I can do a lot. Yeah, we can do a lot with that.
So-
Basically, yeah.
So if you what you did is windowed this and dragged it up to make it larger, would it mirror the center line, or would you have to do the same thing to this bottom?
I would do
half?
the same thing to the bottom.
Okay.
I would do the
But
same
that's
thing.
still, you can drag that up 1/8 of an inch.
Yeah. So what you would have to do is put the new part in,
And then-
okay, and then So basically, right now this is a dead image,
Yeah.
okay. So if I put a new part in, okay, that was longer or shorter, what I'm going to want to do is this. I'm going to want to basically make this into a live image again.
Yes.
So this is the play button here.
Okay.
So if I hit play, okay, then I can hit execute pattern search. So now it's going to look for that registered image, okay, that we did earlier. And then it's going to align everything to that registered image. Now, the one thing is that when I put a larger part in, the question, will it actually find that as the registered image?
Okay.
It could or it could not, depending upon the difference in size.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Can I give it a try?
Well, let me go over a few more things
Okay.
here first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So far, everything that I said, does everything make sense so far? Okay. So there's probably a few other dimensions that you'd probably want to throw in here. Okay. So for instance, maybe, like the depth here. Okay. From here to here, things
Yeah.
of that nature.
Sure. Those
edges, things of that nature. Okay. So if I wanted to look for line to line, and actually grab, I'm not sure. Do you have a
$20, I believe it was.
20
Yeah.
plus or minus?
Plus 0.005 minus 0.
Yeah, you could do 0.05 both ways. It wouldn't matter. Anyway, to
Okay.
print, yeah.
So you can find that information.
That's
Okay.
cool.
Okay. So you could add the rest of that. You could add whatever. It's safe. Okay. It says unmeasured element exists. I'm still going to save it. Oh, so now basically I want to register the pattern. Okay, so again, I'm going to say no here. Why? Because I want to get that fixture out of it. So we'll just do up to there. Register. Yes. Okay. And this page will just hit save. Okay. Okay. There we go. So now go to run. Measure. Now again, I have the part all the way down at the bottom. You can put comments on here as well, so that So for instance, if I knew that I was using this particular V-block, if I knew I was using a particular fixture, I can put that right on the program, okay? So, and I'll show you that here. Again, it's saving results because it's trying to...
Would that take about 10 seconds to run that program?
Probably not even that.
Not even that.
Okay.
Taking Latoya at least 3 minutes to check that whole part and write everything down.
Yeah, and trying to get the...
I wish we wouldn't still have to write that down. We can just save it. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I'm going to change one thing here because I think...
But you have a printer right here, you can print it out. And
I tried to print today and it wouldn't let me.
put in a ticket for that because they can fix a printer. Actually, you got to call the printer company now. IT doesn't do it. I'll
Right.
delete that comment out of here.
So right now, what we have is this is our folder path, okay? So we want to basically... I think I want to... You're not connected now, are you? So,
No.
No, don't want to delete it. No.
Those are your only
Yeah.
options?
Yeah, because that's the only thing we have in there.
Yeah, gotcha.
That's my default.
And it's not saving?
No, we'll see what we do here. We'll run this again. I'll take a look at where it's trying to save it to.
So realistically, once
Okay. So, okay, it's still trying to save to the other one. I'll have to change that. Go ahead.
realistically, once we're skilled,
Mm-hmm.
10 minutes, start to finish, program and run, and then all the rest of them is just runtime?
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously it took a lot longer for me to program it because I was
Right.
discussing it the entire way. But yeah, it should not take long. I think the important thing is to create a good program to start with, because if you don't, then the issue is going to be you're just going to get bad data.
Right. And once we have the programs for standard components, it's always going to be the same. If there's a little engineering change down the road, we just add it a couple dimensions and be done with it.
Coordinates. Let's see, we got two tests. Oh.
Can you call it test 2 or something?
Yeah, I'm gonna find out.
Okay.
I have to talk to somebody about why it's saving. Take that one. Let's see if taking that off made a difference.
So this it can now be put on that table anywhere in
Anywhere within this search range. So
Okay.
so now I have to take this off, and let's just spin it around a little bit
Yeah.
there. I'll say next. Okay.
The next meaning measure the next part.
Measure the next one.
Oh, I see. You just got to fill that
Yeah.
area.
I should have.
Again, does it have to be a V block like that anymore, or no? Not necessarily.
I would.
Okay.
So now if I put it like this, here's the only issue, okay? Again, when I originally programmed it, you'll see I just had it
Yeah.
right on the center, and that's really where I want to put it for this. Then we'll get it.
Yeah, it's a magnet.
Yeah.
It's just grabbing it.
So, okay, because again, the way I programmed it, okay, I was looking at those edges. So if
Yes.
if that edge happens to be covered up by that,
It's not going to find it.
it's not going to find it. Okay. So in this case, you might want to even get like a smaller V block, you know, for
Mhm.
different things. There we go.
You got two
So does this
okay.
automatically save part 2, or?
Yep. So it's saving it. So yeah, find out why, because I'm not. I should be saving. I should not be saving it to the network. I mean, I think that's what it's looking for.
Sure it is, yeah.
Actually,
When they do that, they probably thought they was gonna be able to hook it to the internet.
That plug is probably for the printer. Maybe not.
We'll pull it out.
IT police siren's going to go off here in a second.
Maybe.
They gonna run out. I told y'all to unplug that. I'll be sitting at my desk.
Let's see if the sirens go off.
You give one of your business cards.
Okay. So now you saw how fast that was without.
Yeah.
So now I can say next. Okay. Put the next one on. Let's just give it there.
Okay.
Hit measure. There you go.
Well,
Okay.
and that automatically saves that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
So now, how to get the information out? Do you know how to do that yet?
No.
Okay. So every time we measure, we're obviously the system's recording the information. The best way to do it is with your thumb drive. Okay. So when you typically measure some of this, how many would you be measuring? Like a lot of them, like 10 of them at a time,
We
or
usually do like sample size depending on how big the order is.
Okay. Okay. So let's say that because we measured this maybe like five times so far.
Mhm.
So how do I get that information out? The best way is this. I'm going to go to my main menu. Okay. This is one way, and we'll just talk about this for now. We're going to go to my statistics. Okay. And there's my part. There's test 1. Okay. And I'm going to hit extract. So this is going to extract all the data. So we measured it 4 times. And there's my data.
Okay.
Okay. Probably the simplest way would be to save it as an Excel file.
Mhm.
Okay. So right here, I'm going to say save data list.
Excuse me, does this come with a report other than what we're seeing right here? Does it have options?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's a couple ways we can do it. So if we just wanted to print a report, okay, I could do this. I could say underneath here, here's my reports, and this is one with separate outputs. So then I can hit print. Okay, this is not hooked up to a printer yet. I think it should just give me the image. Okay, but this would be my, here's my report. Okay, now with this report, the thing is you got to keep in mind that you can't copy and paste from this report. Okay, you know, it's just a hard copy. Okay, so typically if you're going to do something else with the data, okay, then I would suggest probably use the Excel file. Okay.
Yeah, we're not printing nothing out.
Okay. Okay. So this is, you know, so this is one way to get all your information. And again, the other way would be to say, well, you know what? I'm going to say this report. I'm going to hit save this report here. Okay. So I'm just going to save the report. Okay.
Same location as a program?
Yep. Exactly. So now what we're going to do is this. I want to print out. Let's say I want to save this as an Excel file. So I'm going to say save the data. And then it's going to say we're going to save it as a CSV file. Yes. So we're just going to hit save. Okay. Let's do this. Let's go back into run here for a minute. We'll hit measure. Maybe what I want to do at this point is I want to save the screen image. I want to save that. Okay. So I can go up the menu, save as, let's say my screen image. Okay. So we're going to save the screen image. Okay. So now I want to get that information out. So basically I could save from here, I could save the screen image. I could save a report just to this part, okay? Or I could go into my statistics and then save it as an Excel file and things of that nature. So where do I get this information at now? I'm going to go to main menu, optional settings, import or export. Okay, so there's my test right there that we did before. Okay, if I double click that, there's everything that we did. So whose thumb drive is this?
I think it just came with it.
Okay, well, hopefully. So now I put the thumb drive in, it popped up as my F drive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my F drive, and then I'm going to take all three of these, and I'm going to click on export. So they're going to go to my F drive.
Okay.
So if I take a look at my F drive, this is what's in it.
Okay.
So let's do this. Can you open that up on your
Oh
computer?
yeah, we can.
No.
Ah, okay. Well, if you could open it up on your computer, you would see a basically you would see a screenshot. You would see a test report. You know, basically, you know, a Word doc, and then you would also find a CSV file. CSV being Excel.
Okay.
Okay. So that's how you find a lot of that information.
Well, that's helpful. That's good. I like the being able to do that if we were connected to the network. No more printing, no more copying, writing it down
Right.
somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
And the fact that we can measure multiple parts in a hurry like that, big plus.
Yep.
The way you showed us today was catching the lines better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice to get that pre-set up, I think.
Yeah, and again, I think the key thing is when you take a look, when you go to measure the part, just take a look at the part and any turn part like that. Again, everything on the ends is going to be one focus. Okay, so basically, you know, this is going to be one focus. On the top and the bottom is going to be another focus, and those little those in there are going to be another focus as well. So realistically, on something like this, I'm going to have pretty much just two focuses. again, you just want to try to avoid, okay, you know, I focused it here, then I focused it there, then I focused it there, then I refocused it. There's no reason to do all of that. Okay. This would just make it a lot easier.
Yeah. So without getting too difficult and putting it on there or anything,
Okay,
would
this
we be able to?
probably not, because the difference between the two
Field of view?
is just, yeah, too great.
Yeah.
So I would not be able to do that. I would say that probably the best thing to do would be to take a part like this, and if it's different lengths, that's easy to do. If it was slightly different, we could probably do more with it, but being some radically different, we would not be able to do that.
Because it's using the same focus point?
Well, again, it's going to be a different focus because you have different diameters.
Right.
Okay, so you are going to, so basically this sitting down there, so this one's going to focus here, this one's going to focus here. So you
Yeah.
have different focal points as well.
Yeah.
And because of that, because you are in the high precision mode, then everything's going to be out of focus.
Right.
Okay. If it was the same diameter but just different, you know, but that nose was just different lengths, that's easy. Okay.
Well, we do that. We have pins that are for different thickness of plates.
Mhm.
So this length could change, this length could change.
Mhm.
Actually, I think this would probably stay the same all the
Yeah,
time.
the only
Yeah.
thing would be the length.
This one would
that it
change.
belongs to.
Yeah,
Right.
and again, once you know how to program this, okay, then to program that, it's all the same.
Yeah.
So if you get into a habit of saying, okay, you know what, I'm going to put it in focus, line, put all my lines in, do that, do this, it doesn't take long at all.
Right.
Okay. Now, when you bought this machine, do you know offhand? Did you get any of the offline programming software?
I thought we did. I thought on the quote, if you look at it, it says,
Okay.
I don't know where.
Do you know? Okay. Yeah, let's see what we got here.
There was some dongles. I don't know. If
Yeah.
there's more than that.
Yeah. Okay, that feels like it's the glass.
But offline programming means what? We gotta put on any machine we want and program it.
What you can do. Okay. Yeah. Good. Okay. Okay. So you have two
Seats.
You have two seats. Well, you have one seat. You have one for the offline programming, another for the CAD import. Okay. But what you can do with the offline programming is this. Okay. When you and so this is something that you can do actually down at your, you know, if you have the system up here, this is something you might want to think about for down there.
Okay.
Okay. Is that the offline programming, what you need to do is you're going to take an image of the part. So basically you do exactly what I started. You put the part on the stage, focus it, because that only took two focuses. It took basically the edges and the, you know, the two sides, okay? So what you could do is basically I could come in here, put this part on. Okay. Focus it on this edge, you know, just focus it in on the one edge, and then put one line. Okay, just put a line on there. That's going to lock in your level, your layer.
Yeah. Okay.
Then I'm going to focus it in up here. That's going to lock in that layer because we only use the two focuses. Okay. Now I just simply save the program. Okay. Now what I can do is I have offline programming that basically mirrors all of this programming. Okay. So now what I could do is I could basically open up that Again, everything would either have to be either online or through a dongle, okay? But now what I could do is I could open that up, okay, and then put all my lines in, put all my tolerances in by sitting at my desk. The only thing I cannot do sitting at my desk is I cannot change the focus, I can't change lighting, you know, so it's basically because you're working off of a picture at that point. But if you actually do two focuses, you're going to have two layers, so you're going to have two pictures really that you're working with.
Right.
Okay. The good thing about that is, number one, for training aspects, you know, you don't have to be on the machine to learn how to use it.
Yeah.
And if you're going to use it down there and you're going to use it up here, you can basically start creating programs. Okay.
What else? You're gonna show the
I think.
driveway
Well, I
first?
think this is a good place. I think it's a good place to stop.